Alright guys, let's get going on this pod for the new day. Trying to roll up my windows here. So getting a little exercise, testing it out a little this morning. I'll get more into that. But yeah. About to be driving through town. I went to the park. Just wanted to chill. Headed to the beach right now. Pretty much I'll stay till I need a bathroom break, then I'm gonna head home. But trying to take advantage of this beautiful Friday morning. Sun is out, nice and warm. It's not too busy yet because it's before the lunch rush, so I'm just trying to get a little sunshine before it gets too busy, before the weekend rush starts. Usually starts around Friday afternoons and goes till probably this Sunday is Easter Sunday, so it might actually go for a pretty lengthy time. But yeah, new day. I don't know if we're on day 23, 24. I don't know. I have to look. But anyways, as far as the book, Aina's Keys, by Aina Brion, one thing that we noticed here is, in this new segment, is that I'm going the wrong direction, first off. One thing that we notice is that, she talks a little bit about her idea surrounding God. This idea surrounding God. The way she kind of explained her position on things, I really kind of liked. Basically taking this approach that there's that God has so many multiple aspects of itself that God decides to create humans in every possible form of its own image. And I was like, I've never heard anybody say that like that before. Like, that wasn't the whole purpose of the pages, but that was kind of like what stuck out to me, and I kind of liked it because I was like, for the people who are Bible believing individuals, that is kind of a bit of a conundrum, a bit of a complexity that we might have, because a lot of times there is so much hatred and disgust and trauma and negativity spread by religions. And I'm not saying that every religious person is at fault or doing wrong or whatever. Because there are definitely good religious people out there that they love to feed the homeless, they love to help build houses and churches and teach and do a lot of free service and help in the community. Food banks, really important stuff, like clothing banks, places where people can get their needs met. And to me, that's very important. And I feel like there's power in numbers sometimes. And a lot of times, some churches, I feel like, and other religious organizations, they can use their numbers to really help in communities. And I love seeing that. I love it when people have like a religious fervor and like, love for the community, their local surroundings, or just like people in general, and they're open to helping everybody without the agenda of, I want you to convert to the religion, or I want you to come and add to the numbers of our service and potentially give offering money and things like that. Like, without that kind of agenda of like running a business and like, giving free services in exchange for the potential for, growing the church in numbers. Like, I understand when people do believe that, the way that they think is gonna truly help people in their lives. But I think the approach is kind of more like, I feel like when it comes from a health perspective of like, hey, look how we live our lives, in this healthy community of people that are like loving and kind and caring and giving and uplifting, and we focus on the positivity. Those are the types of organized religions that I'm like, okay, like, let's promote the good kind of stuff that we can all come together on. And I feel like a lot of times that gets outshined by the negative, because there's definitely the, you need to do this or else you're going to hell, and all the judgment and all the, pain and suffering caused by different religions, and so I even have a hard time talking about religion, and I grew up religious, and so I even notice sometimes when I hear something that's like biblical or like about some religious thing, like, I really have to be in the mood to want to hear it, which is why on this pod I kind of avoid talking about religion, but I kind of bring it up a lot because I'm around the family that is very religious, so it's kind of hard for me to really completely tease it out of my life because I'm around ultra religious people on a very regular basis. But overall, just kind of like noticing that, like, not having to focus on sorry about the windows, guys. I'm like driving, but it's hot. It's getting hot in this car. I'm trying to keep the windows up because I'm driving on streets. But yeah, so yeah, I definitely find it pretty an interesting take, to think about every individual person is some representation of an image of God, of an image of the Creator. Because then that kind of breaks down a lot of these judgment ideas of like, oh, if you're queer, you're bad, or if you're trans, you're wrong, or like all these kind of ideas that we hear from mainstream society. I feel like if a lot of people who were in religions and focused more on judgment, if they kind of took that approach instead of looking at all the ways that, people can come together, looking at all the ways that, people are, all the ways that people are trying to, like, basically come together and just looking at the differences and celebrating our differences, instead of saying like, okay, people can be different in this way, and that way, but not in this other way or this other kind of way. They can't be different. Like, there's some ways that are right to be different and some ways that are wrong to be different. Like, I think we can all agree, if somebody's stealing, if somebody's murdering, if somebody's harming, and causing pain to others, that's wrong. And so for me, it does become kind of this weird question of like, well, why do sometimes religious people feel like it's okay to cause pain to other people? You know, because I feel like religions teach that you're not supposed to do that. So, to me, that does become like a weird point where it's like, I've noticed that people can be accepting of it, you know, like if you're in an environment and it's a religious kind of environment, you know, the place where you're at kind of sets the tone. And I know too, you know, the place where you're at kind of sets the tone. And, you know, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but it's hard for people to think outside of that. And, you know, I've talked about this with friends before too, that like, you know, like people can become a product of their environment. And it's not an excuse, but I feel like it can become acceptable for people to judge when you're around people who judge. When you're around people who gossip, it can become acceptable to gossip, even if you feel bad about it. Like, that was one thing that I wasn't into with the church situation that I was growing up in, is that I noticed, like, I always felt terrible being around, like, because I was friends with so many people, or, you know, at least acquaintances and in touch with and on good terms with so many people, that I found it hard to hear people in the community being like, oh, so-and-so has this negative thing that, you know, I know about that's a secret that I need to spread to everybody. Like, that's basically the main interpretation of how it went down. It's like people would learn things about one another in some trusting environment and then just go and just be backstabbing and, you know, and yeah, it is human nature, but when you're around other people who make it acceptable, like, just because it's human nature doesn't mean that somebody necessarily has to give in to harming people. And, you know, there's a lot of things about human nature where people say, well, you don't have to give into it. And you hear that about, like, LGBT, you know, issues where people are like, well, just because you have those thoughts doesn't mean that you have to give into it. But it's also like, well, you're not hurting anybody. Like, that's a whole different thing. It's like, how is your love for somebody hurting anyone? You know, like, I don't understand how people are so, like, involved in someone else's love life. It's like, this is some random person that lives down your street, or, you know, a lot of times it's like, there are people who don't even know any LGBT people. They don't know any of them, and they're just like, oh, but they can't get married, or they can't, you know, it's wrong because this book said it, or whatever. That's how I interpret this book, and that's how I was taught in this building, and that's how my family talks, and so therefore it's wrong. And it's like, wait, but, you know, did you challenge this? Like, where is this even freaking coming from, you know? So I feel like oftentimes people don't really think about it, about, like, fully, like, what they're doing or saying. They just kind of do and say whatever the heck they're taught. And to be, when I'm talking about, like, being a product of an environment, you know, I think when you sit back and look, you know, you kind of notice it. When you're around negative people, you start thinking about the world pretty negatively. When you're around really, like, motivated people who are, like, you know, getting their shit together and, like, have their shit together and reaching their goals, you want to do it too. You know, when you're around people who work hard, you want to work hard. When you're around people who have financial stability, you want to be financially stable. When you're around people who exercise a lot, you want to exercise. You consider it. Like, it crosses your mind. When you're around people who are prejudiced and bigots and, you know, homophobic and racist and all these other things, you know, it almost gives someone permission to talk that way and think that way. And, you know, so I think sometimes when it comes to religion, those are the types of things where I find myself being like, you know, I could do without a lot of this. Like, none of that benefits me, you know? Like, how does it benefit me to be around negative environments with people gossiping and backstabbing and, you know, doing all these other horrible things? And it's like, I don't want to be around that. Like, that's BS. Like, I don't want to be around all that. That sounds like not fun, not healthy, not encouraging. You know, it doesn't make me feel better about myself at the end of every day. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me feel happy. It makes me feel just the opposite of all those things. And so, like, I'm kind of sensitive to that kind of stuff too, though. I mean, I'm not really easy to just, like, brush things off my shoulder and be like, all right, like, whatever, it's nothing, you know, like, but yeah, I think there can be something to it. And I think when there's somebody who's talking like, okay, we're all an expression of God here, we're all like, we're all this way, or we're all, valuable, or we're all worthy, or we're all, like, there's something positive about all of us, like, I love hearing that kind of a message or thought process and thinking more that way of, like, the good, but I'm not here to, like, preach about religion, or, like, that you need to change your beliefs or change your ways or go do whatever, like, I don't really care what people do. Like, for me, really, it is just that, like, are you creating positive environments around you? Are you doing good to others? Are you helpful when somebody needs you? Are you selfless when you can afford to be, are you loving? Are you, creating, like, healthy environments around you? Are you promoting healthy things? Are you connecting deeply with people in a way that, is authentic and safe for people? Like, that's one thing too. Like, knowing somebody, once you get to know somebody, you kind of know more about, like, okay, this is helpful for them, or this is not helpful for them. And what you do with that information is what makes it so it's a safe or unsafe environment. It's like, for sure, people take advantage, like, I know that for sure, I tend to attract the narcissistic type of person towards myself, because I can be pretty calm, I can be pretty even about things, I can be pretty, like, open-minded about stuff, and there's a certain type of person that gravitates towards someone that they feel like they can take advantage of, and I definitely have that type of personality, and so I definitely attract towards myself this kind of person that's just like, I'm not saying everybody I know is like this. I'm just saying, like, there's a select couple people that I've come across where I'm like, I see why you want me around you, and I can see it very clearly. But also, I don't think it's yeah, what is going on over here? There's so many people. Alright. So I'm just getting over to the beach, but I don't understand why there's, like, so many freaking people over here. So, like, tourists? I don't know if it's tourists. But yeah, I'm all about, promoting positivity, love, kindness, goodness, those types of things. And I try hard, when I don't see it, when I don't see it clearly and I don't see it around me, I try to just stay away. Because I'm like, well, what am I getting out of this? Like, I'm not getting anything out of it, like anything positive or beneficial for my life other than headaches and pain and annoyances, so I'm like, let me just stay away. But yeah, like, I get curious about what other people think about these types of topics. I hope it doesn't, like, turn people away when I start, like, talking about it, though, because it's like, I'm not trying to preach or tell people how to believe or think or live, and I don't really have a mindset that, that I think people are evil or, you know, whatever. It's like, you know, if you're like, there's room for human error. None of us is perfect, so we're gonna be messing stuff up as it is. You know, we're already gonna be making mistakes. But I mean, you know, it does no good to sit and like think about that all day. You know, but yeah, it's like how to move forward, how to create positivity, and keep that momentum going. But yeah, I don't know what people think. I'd never really heard that before. Like, I kind of like hearing different people's perspectives about the universe and whatnot. You know, I kind of like hearing what they have to mention, because, you know, I definitely grew up with a method that I was like, I don't think I like this. You know, I don't like this. I don't like the approach. I don't like this certain approach that I grew up with, you know. It wasn't something that I found helpful in my life or healthy. And, you know, I kind of attached to this idea that, you know, I did know what was right for myself and develop more ideas surrounding like what's more right or wrong, better ways to live in community. Like, I think it was maybe like positive for me that I grew up around like a sense of a community, you know. Because that was kind of helpful, like just the general like being around like a community environment and seeing what didn't work for me and being so heavily like, you know, influenced and, you know, educated by and just so heavily like exposed to kind of this like community living kind of way of doing things. And I don't mean community living like I don't know if I can park here. Dang, it's like the best spot, and it's like a lifeguard parking space. There's freaking cops. Damn, man. It's freaking busy. Damn it. I'm trying not to park by other cars, because there's like all these other cars. And I want to just like record with my windows open, but I don't feel comfortable doing it with all these freaking cars driving all over. We'll see. But yeah, that's kind of the general idea. That, you know, the general idea I was kind of coming across. There's a whole lot of people walking over here. I don't know what is happening. There is definitely some kind of an event or something going on. Bro, I'm trying to park where there's not like a person that can like listen to me. Alright. I'm trying not to park like right next to somebody's open window with there's a lot of people sitting in their cars. I think we all kind of got the same idea today. That, yeah, a lot of people want to come and sit at the beach, chill at the beach. So yeah, that's kind of in general window down a little bit more. I hope the ocean isn't too loud in the back. I feel like it's not. But yeah, that's kind of one thing that I do notice. Is that, you know, our environment can really help or hinder us. And I think it's good. I believe it's good. I think it's good to try to keep tabs on it, have a good understanding about it. Not be too down about it or too stressed. It's chilly. Wow. It's like cold ocean breeze. But yeah, that's kind of my main takeaway, I would say, for now. I'll get more into my day. I'll post a little bit more in another episode because I recorded some really lengthy ones yesterday, so I'm going to separate these out a little more. I'm going to record another one about kind of just generally about exercise, illness, body image, that kind of stuff, because it's kind of come up in some of the content I've been updating myself on. It's cold, dude. I'm freaking cold. I love the sound of the water, but I'm kind of freezing. But yeah. So that's kind of my take on today's reading. Let's see. Let me get the day right. I don't even know what day it is. It's April 7th, but let me see. Because I did that weird bulk recording. You guys, I am off. I gotta just tell you for sure. I'm a little off. So please forgive me. I mean, I'm still trying to get it together here. So yesterday I put days 18 to 23. So that means today's 24. Yeah, today's 24. So, alright, it's 11:11 a.m. Have a good Friday. Have a good weekend, guys. If you don't like these topics related to God or the universe or creator type of topics, I mean, I understand that. It's never my intention to be like preaching religion. I'll talk about it. And I know there's a segment of the population that's religious, so I can't, I don't want to just like leave people out just because of my own weird stuff that I've got going on, but, I've definitely had some damage from religion on my own end, so I kind of get it. But, I mean, I noticed today, like I was sitting in the kitchen and, my mom had this, I was trying to eat some oats real quick because I thought I was gonna go to, I need some water. I thought I was gonna go to the gym, and so I was like, I'll just eat a little bit of oats. I ate a little bit of oats and like a little bowl of fruit, and I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. And so I ate a little bit, just a little amount, so I would have something in me. Like, it was enough to sustain me, but it was late. It was like probably 9:30 a.m. So I was like, okay, it's like late, and I like to leave the house around 10 a.m. When I'm going to the gym, and I basically didn't leave at 10 a.m. I left a little after 10, and on the drive, I was like, I feel like I'm a little coughing. But, I basically was sitting in the kitchen, and I was going to eat my breakfast kind of in the kitchen. And my mom had something playing on her. She plays YouTube, and it was like some kind of long commercial, kind of about like health and like, like why do doctors prescribe like chemical medications instead of recommending like holistic, healthy, behavioral lifestyle changes, and they'd rather just give a pill or whatever. Like, why is the system kind of, the mainstream health system kind of set up like that? And I was like, oh, this is an interesting, like, I thought she was listening to like a health podcast or something, and it turned out to be like one of those really long like YouTube ads. Because if you don't have premium, sometimes they have these ads that are like 30 minutes long. Like, I've had like, when I was on my work computer before, I've listened to a whole ad podcast. It was like a podcast that was just like an advertisement. And I was like, dude, I think it was like almost an hour or something. And I was like, my goodness, like, you really have to click out of these things. But it was interesting. I can't remember the topic, but it was some kind of social topic that I found interesting. So I listened to it because I was multitasking during work. And so, yeah, it was just kind of an entertaining moment. But, the reason I'm mentioning it is because, like, I noticed that I had, like, she turned it off and she's like, oh, like, this gets in the middle of my songs. And so I expected when she turned it back on, it was going to be like K-pop or something. Like, she listens to K-pop a lot. But instead it was some like church song. And I was just like, I'm just not in the mood for this. Like, if I'm going to be eating breakfast to some kind of noise in the background, I want it to be something I want to hear, and I would have been cool with the health podcast or ad or whatever was playing, but, I didn't really want to sit and listen to church music, so I just kind of got up and went to my room. When she changed it, and she was kind of annoyed by the ad, and I was kind of annoyed by the music. Like, I didn't say anything. I was just like, just got up and left. Like, I wasn't like mad. I was just like, all right, I don't really want to sit and listen to the song. It's one of those songs that we used to sing in church near Easter, and I was just kind of like, I don't know if this is going to start bringing back some weird like church memories. And it's not like I have like so many terrible church memories or anything, but it's just kind of like, I've definitely noticed the benefits of not having to deal with church memories. And so I just am limiting myself from the negative aspects of it. Like, definitely there was positive too. I mean, or, there was positive too, but I was definitely, indoctrinated, deeply. It was like pretty hardcore. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it's weird when you grow up in like a Christian religion, a Christian denomination, because a lot of times Christianity tends to be pretty relaxed. Like, it's kind of like people have these beliefs, and like they have like strong like beliefs, values, kind of like these morals that they try to say, oh, these are my morals and my values, and they try to push them on the world. That's pretty common. But as far as lifestyle, I feel like the majority of Christian living, like, you can be Christian and nobody would really even know unless they asked you. You could never go to church and still be Christian. You can, you can be very into church like multiple times a week and only listening to religious music and only watching church on television and never even absorbing like secular material. Like, I knew people that were like on that level where they never were like, in contact with like secular material too much or secular environments. Like, everything was like church related social activities and school, and even worked in like a church kind of sponsored university, or all their lives was kind of like dominated by the religion. And then there's other people who, like, you see them like Christmas and Easter maybe, if that, and you don't see them any other days, and that's fine. I'm not like judging it. I'm just saying, like, Like a lot of religions, I feel like you're kind of like all the way in or all the way out. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like with Christianity, it's like you can get a bunch of people that are kind of like, they think some way because of how they were taught in a Christian environment, but it's like they aren't like very strict with lifestyle choices and things like that. It's more like I want everyone else to be like doing what my scripture says to do, um, even if it's not part of your culture or part of your beliefs. They believe that that's the only right way to live, and everybody has to live like that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that there's only one way to live. We're all so diverse and so different, you know. Um, I find it hard to believe that everybody needs to believe the same thing. I find it hard to believe that there's some kind of punishment for not doing it, that you're gonna eternally bake in hell, never fully die there and be tortured in the fires of hell forever just because you don't believe in one thing. Because it has to be promoted to you very well. You have to like want it. You have to actually believe in it. You can't like force yourself, to believe in something. Like, you know, um, some people think maybe you can, but if you think even about politics, you can't force yourself to have a political opinion. Like if you listen to like a presidential speech or Trump or Obama or some Biden or like somebody, some public figure, you're going to have an opinion, on what they say eventually. And, that's your opinion. It's going to be hard to be like, oh, this is my opinion. Let me like switch it and completely start believing this other way now. Like that kind of thing takes time. And if you don't really want to change the way you believe because you feel like it works best for you and that's what's right for you, then I don't see why you should have to try to change it. But I don't know. There are a lot of people out there who think otherwise. Alright, so I'm gonna record this next one. And leave things with that. I don't really know. I don't really know. Alright. With that, I'm gonna sign off from this episode. Happy day 24. Dude, if it's day 24, that means I need to get a new book pretty soon. So, I'm gonna start looking around for books. Alright, I'm gonna start looking around for books because, we've only got like 6 more days of this book. So, I'm either gonna have to order something before the weekend or I don't know. Let me see. Alright. Alright, with that, thanks for listening.